Hi everyone, Nathan here again from Crypto Boss Trading 101. Just wanted to provide a quick BTC update. I know it's been an eventful day. A lot of people are traumatized. Bitcoin has been going south. So this is the current chart we're looking at, which I covered last time, in a downtrend, um, keeping on here in the downward fashion. So I'll give you the bad news first, and then we'll talk about some good news. So bad news is we had this quick run up to 20,000. Here we had a head and shoulders pattern in play with the head here, left shoulder, right shoulder, which gives you a downside target from the neckline here to 6,212. That is my lowest downside target. Okay, that's as much downside as I have technically here supported. As you can see, I've got other short-term targets here that are horizontal red lines. Okay, so this is the last small one you can see here, a small fractal setup that performed. We just hit through 9,000, little pullback from that target. And I anticipate that we're going to make our way down here, still conforming to this falling wedge. Okay, the falling wedge in blue, as you can see, we continue to move to the upside. We're rejected when we hit the edge of the wedge. Fall down, rejected, fall. We'll probably continue this pattern, okay, until we at least hit these two targets here. So most of the crypto world, if you watch anything, is calling for these lower targets around the $8,000 range. I see a lot of Elliott wave people calling for that. But there are a number of analyses that you can do to get those downside targets. The fact is we've had a long run up and it's time for a pullback and we're pulling back. Okay, so as long as we keep performing to the downside, we assume continuation until we see some type of reversal pattern, like an inverted head and shoulders, like this type of pattern with a head, two shoulders, but upside down, okay? Indicating we've reached some type of bottom, or a W structure, indicating that we're moving our way back up and that we see positive volume coming in here and on balance volume to indicate significant buying in the upwards direction. We haven't hit that point yet. We're continuing down. It hasn't helped that we've had a whole bunch of bad news coming out of regulatory authorities, hacks, tether issues, all these different things that happen in emerging markets. But this should be expected right here. Okay, we'll talk about the positives after, but this is the negative downside that we're covering here. This diagonal line I had put in here, if you remember, if we go all the way back, let's look at a daily chart. I had put these diagonal lines in to show early trend lines from where Bitcoin had gone. So if you look back to 2015 at least, or 2015, 2016, we were really following along this trajectory here. We changed to a new upward trajectory before we went parabolic here. Okay, so if you look at the last trajectory line, we're really still above this most recent trend line. Could we fall all the way back down here? That'd be a significant, well, let's take a look at it. Okay, so here we have the upward diagonal trend line, which we're approaching right now. We'll likely smash through that and head to the downside around the 7,000 area. So just to, when you're looking at something like this and looking at downside targets, I think it'd be quite a fall to hit this diagonal here. I don't think we're going 3,000. We could test 5,000. If you look here, we have previous support in this area, 58, 5,900. The hammer or the wick on the candle went down to 5,400. We could test that again, but we have support here. So we had a previous pullback here from 7,600, 7,800. Pretty significant pullback down to 5,500. Had support there and moved back up. Okay, you can see we've done this repeatedly, and we'll cover this again in the positive section. But we get a dip, 40% dip, and then continue on upwards to the upside. But if you look at this pullback, that represents some support there. Okay, this is a daily chart. We at least had 2-3 days where we're supporting in this area. So that could be another resting point if we do break through the downside head and shoulders target of 6,200. Perhaps we test this 5,500 region. Okay, it wouldn't be inconceivable. So we assume downtrend until we are proven otherwise. Okay. So I don't think we're going to hit this original diagonal or this trend. But I think once we get in down here, we'll see significant buying and we'll move to the upside. But I think when we're in times like these, you've got to mentally prepare yourself to go to a place of 5,000 if you're holding. I have very, very little Bitcoin right now, a lot of cash, some Ethereum, and some Neo as well. I'll show those trades in a bit later in the video here. But I think always when you see this type of structure, we're obviously in a bear market. We're in a downward falling wedge, which these tend to pop out of a falling wedge for Bitcoin, but can continue to the downside. But I think we're going towards the bottom of this falling wedge. That's what the data says right now. So just prepare yourself mentally for that. If you're holding, continue to hold. I mean, you've got to ask yourself, we're already at 8,800 here. Is it worth it? How much are you really going to gain if you go to cash and then you try to time it and buy back in at the, $7,000 area or $6,000 area? I could see going to some cash and having cash available to buy these dips when you get down in this region, but it gets tricky. When we get to the bottom here, how long will we really be at the bottom? It's like catching a knife, as they say, right? So are you going to try to catch the knife or not? Because it can spike back up very quickly. You can miss it, then you're buying back in higher and you're kicking yourself because you lost money. Getting in and out of Bitcoin or shorting Bitcoin is difficult. So people that aren't skilled at doing that constantly, I recommend just hold it. You had a good run up here, hold it, and we'll be off to the races after. So what's another doomsday or ice age scenario here? You can look at the total coin market cap. As a reminder, you can go to coinmarketcap.com. Click on, if you go to the top of the screen, you see it says market cap number here. Click on that market cap. It'll give you the total market capitalization. This is all coins, number of coins multiplied by the price of the coin. Okay, so this is back through December here, as we had this run up to 20,000 Bitcoin here. You can see something a little, I drew up a little chart here that we can check out. A little bit scary. This is another, again, this is the worst of the worst news. Okay, what do you see here? You see a head and shoulder structure on the entire market cap of all cryptos. Okay, are we going to get a crypto winter or ice age? It's possible. We could get a drop here to the inverted target, or the downside target to this head and shoulders pattern would be around the 200 billion market cap. This neckline right here, you can see where it dips here. Pick a round number in between that neckline, and you're somewhere around that neckline is about 500 billion. Right now we just dipped below 500, so it looks like we're perhaps starting to perform to the downside. Near-term target here at 300 billion. So this is a market cap contraction or significant cash coming out of the market for a near side target of 300 billion. So we could still see, we're going to see more contraction. We know that from the Bitcoin chart, but you can also see that in many alts as well. So once again, this is a worst case scenario, market cap contraction down to the 200 billion range, something like that. That doesn't mean this performs. This is a developing market. This is not like trading commodities or forex or currencies. This is an emerging market, much like beginning days of .com area. We're super early here. Okay, this is not a developing market. You're looking at 0.5% to 1% of the entire world population involved in cryptos right now. Very small. We are at the very beginning of this. So it's a developing market. We won't always have these head and shoulder targets perform to the downside. We often see them rejected in crypto. So keep that in mind. Again, doomsday scenario, crypto ice age, type scenario. So if we look at, okay, we looked at BTC short term, looking a little rough, starting to get some rounding here, which may give us a little pop to the upside. And then for those of you who want to get out, don't sell into the capitulation, okay? Don't sell in to these, don't sell into these massive red candles. This is when your psychology tells you sell now. It's going to go lower. Inevitably, after these sell-offs, you get a bounce, okay? Every one of these sell-offs is followed by a bounce. Sell-off, bounce, sell-off. Rejection on the wicks, okay? You get hammers here, bounce, okay? You will get a bounce from this, back to the upside. So if you're looking to sell into this, do not sell into red candles, Okay, sell into the bounce, into the strength. Okay, not into the fear and everybody checking out of the market, which is what everyone's doing right now. Okay, so either hold through it or wait for the bounce if you are looking to get out and get into some cash. What has been strong during this time? Let's look at the good news. What are the good news? Do we have any rising stars here? Ethereum's been one. So if you look at Ethereum, okay, well, let's look at them all together. Okay, this is, let's look at everything against the dollar. Okay, this is all the majors against the dollar. Okay, the major long-standing or longer standing coins. Okay, so this is Ethereum up here in orange. Bitcoin Cash here, multicolored. The yellow is Litecoin and red is Bitcoin. Okay, so you look, they pretty much all have the same pattern except Ethereum looks like it's a little different, right? Everything looks like it's following the same trend down since that December 17th high. Okay, when Bitcoin peaked to 20,000, you have pretty much everything conforming the same downtrend except Ether. Look at Ether. It started here December 17th. You've been on an uptrend. If you were in Ether that whole time, you made money. Okay, not only to the dollar. Okay, you did almost a 2x to the dollar, something like 750 to 1400 or something. So if you're holding Ether for the last 6 weeks of a bear market, you made money in US dollar terms. What about against Bitcoin? In Bitcoin, you really made some headway there. You look at Bitcoin Cash, down. Okay, everything's not performing according to Bitcoin. Okay, Litecoin, slight down. Okay, and then Bitcoin, this is Bitcoin to the US dollar, down. Okay, since that December 17th time point. Okay, but look at Ethereum in the orange. Okay, you literally did a 3x on Bitcoin. Okay, so if you had 10 Bitcoin, okay, you had 10 Bitcoin, you bought Ether 6 weeks ago, you tripled your Bitcoin. You cashed out today, now you had 30 Bitcoin. You turned 10 Bitcoin into 30 Bitcoin. Yes, the price of Bitcoin went down. But when it rebounds, now you have 30 Bitcoin instead of 10. That's the benefit of trading against Bitcoin, finding coins that move against Bitcoin. Okay, so you could have built your Bitcoin valuation there. I wasn't. I was in trades, in and out of trades, and I did not hold the whole time. I would have been better off had I held Ethereum the whole time. But in hindsight, everything's 2020. Okay, as I showed, this is the Ethereum against Bitcoin growing. Okay, Neo's been another one I've held. I was in this trade. Here we had a nice setup. It popped, hit first interim target, blew through that, hit second interim target here, the blue target. Then Bitcoin started selling off. Never made full target here. Okay, I still have some Neo. I think this is still live for those of you that are in Neo. This has a chance of performing if it doesn't get crushed too bad and get pulled back into um, ultimately down through this red horizontal line here. We're still in good shape to perform to target. I think there's still support there for upside. What else do we have here? Let's go to the BTC chart. Just talk about positives. So let's look back at the 4 hourly. So one thing I see here that's good is you're having, this isn't brutal selling off. Okay, the amount of time we took to run up to 20,000 and the amount of time we're taking off to sell off, it's bleeding out. It's really bleeding out slowly. You didn't lose $7,000 to $10,000 in Bitcoin valuation in a week or two. Okay, this is a slow bleed, which is often more painful, but we're getting there, right? We're at 8,800 right now, and hopefully we'll hit this bottom in days, and it won't, we won't get too many bounces, but we'll hit the bottom fast. So what I'm seeing here is you have, let me see if I can draw this out. We are getting shorter sell-offs and shorter horizontal moves. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to have to make this a little thicker so you can see it. But if you look at this first sell-off here, these patterns are getting smaller and smaller, okay? So let's do this, and then let's make it thick so you can see that. Okay, so you have that. So here, look at the length of the sell-off here. And then you have the horizontal move, let's say there, okay? let's take the bottom of the setup. Okay. No, we can't. Let's do this. Okay, so look at the amplitude of these sell-offs, and then the horizontal move. So here, another sell-off. Line's a little shorter. Shorter horizontal move, which obviously is just compliant with the falling wedge. So no matter how you visualize it, okay? And here you have another one. Perhaps we get a bounce off this trend line, or we get a bounce here, you get the point, and a shorter horizontal move, okay? But these down legs are getting shorter and shorter, okay? And eventually that's what's going to happen here. So perhaps we get another drop, move to the upside, drop, but they're getting smaller and smaller, okay? The capitulation is not as sharp. That's a rough sell-off right there, okay? But these drops are getting smaller and smaller. That's one positive thing I see. Also, if you look at this historically, sometimes we focus in what's happened in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but we don't look at the historical chart. If you look at, the weekly, which I had up here a minute ago, this is not unprecedented. We're up here, okay? This is the last 6 weeks. Yeah, we've had some red candles and some sell-offs, but look at years prior what we've had. That's the $1,154 move down to $154. Okay, you lost 90% of your valuation there. Okay, we're at about 50%, 20K to 58%, something like that here. Okay, that's nowhere near approaching 90%. Okay, so we've done a 90% sell-off, albeit over a longer period of time, but this has definitely happened. And I have if we check this chart here, this is cool, someone to put together. These are the 10 biggest Bitcoin drawdowns or Bitcoin sell-offs, okay? So 1 to 10 here. We're right in the middle. We're right around 53% right now. It's probably 58, 59% as of today, but we've had 94, 93, 85, 76, 72. We've had some big sell-offs that have pushed a lot of people out of this market, okay? Those are the top 10 right there, and we're right in the middle, okay? So this could go to, 70, 75%, 80%. It still wouldn't be the biggest sell-off. So that's really where we are. I think you got to remember where we are the top 0.5% of 1% in the world to get into crypto. I think we want to start building upside structure, which I think if you look at the one positive thing about big sell-offs is they set up great structure for upside. Okay, so as far as this down leg goes from our peak here, let's put it on the daily, right? So we're up at 20,000. Okay, if this is one big sell-off, let's say it runs the 6,200 target. Okay, you're looking at a massive amplitude for our next setup. It's that $1,300, $1,400 if we run to 6,000. It's a $14,000 sell-off. Okay, that just creates that much more upside for upside structure. When you look at these type of triangular moves to the upside, you're creating a massive amplitude for a setup to push well above 20,000, 25,000. So the upside is significant here. Once we bottom out, especially once we start moving and more people, gain confidence and start to jump back in. A lot of people are terrified right now, obviously. These people that all bought up here got excited. They bought in at 17,000, 18,000. Oh, it's going to 30,000, and then you have a sell-off at 20,000. They're terrified. If they didn't sell here, now they're selling. They're thinking the crypto world's coming to an end, and they're selling off. Okay. Once we start moving in the upside direction again, you'll get people jumping in. It'll no longer be a 0.5% of people or 1% of people getting involved. It'll be 2% and then 3%. And before you know it, the market cap is $2 trillion. Okay. That will happen. I'm a firm believer that will happen. The technology is certainly not going anywhere, and the demand for a decentralized currency is not going anywhere. People want to be able to trade with each other without banks and governments' permission, and that's one of the things that's driving this. I think, obviously, I don't think Bitcoin will run the show forever. Okay, this is Bitcoin Cash. The sleeping giant here. It's kind of been laying low. Okay, you have it doing 2 to 5x moves in a day. Okay, this is just like a 6, 7x move from the bottom here. Sleeping giant. Okay, it chills out. You have this lull period, and then boom, this could take over Bitcoin. Litecoin could take over Bitcoin. Ethereum. I think Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash are the two likely coins that could flip Bitcoin and become the next coin. I mean, if you look at Ethereum and look at the relative strength, it's been strong against the dollar and it's been strong against Bitcoin. It has a legitimate chance of taking over as the #1 coin. For now, Bitcoin is king, and it was first. It had first movers advantage, and it really drives everything right now. Bitcoin sells off, and the rest of the market sells off. However, there are beauty queens. Once look at Ethereum. As Bitcoin is tanked, Ethereum is moving against Bitcoin. So there are coins that are moving. There's strong support for Ethereum, strong support for Litecoin. Bitcoin Cash is a unique character, but I could see support going to Bitcoin Cash as well. Um, so I think, sorry, this is all. So hang in there. That's the bottom line. Okay, if we've been here before, hang in there. If you haven't sold off yet, I wouldn't sell now. I'd hold into it. Oftentimes we lose money when we get out, and then we try to buy back in higher. It's a mistake. Um, but great technology, core technology. Bitcoin will take off again. That's my take. Thanks everyone for watching.